Hello Minecrafters, KC here, and welcome to episode 22 of my Let's Play series for Minecraft Pocket Edition. Today I'm working in the spawn room, and I've enlarged the room to now have 16 spawn pads. And I've also dug these channels, and the idea behind the channels are that we want to direct the mobs that spawn in this room into our water elevator just over there. So if you can imagine, a monster spawns on this pad, and eventually they will walk around and fall off one of these ledges. They could fall off this ledge, or they could fall off here, or they could fall off over here. So any of those ledges that they fall off of, we want to, using water, direct that monster into the mob elevator, where they will swim up into our mob grinder that we're going to build. So how would we do that? Let's start here. This seems fairly simple. Say a mob falls into this channel. How would we push that mob using water into that area over there? Well, we'll start by placing water here on this block. And water flows for 8 blocks. So you can see that that would push the mob to around this area here. But we also have this problem where the water wants to travel down these other two channels here, and we want to keep that from happening. We really want that monster pushed straight through over to there. So how would we do that? Well, we're going to use signs and half slabs to accomplish that. So I'm just going to get rid of our water source there. And I'm going to start here by digging down one block and placing a half slab into that space. And then I'm also going to dig back 2 blocks in this direction where the water is coming from. So if we now replace that water source, water flows and it will stop at that half slab. And then the next thing that we'll do is place another water block on top of that half slab. So you can see here this is not doing exactly what we want it to do. We want the water here to flow down towards the mob elevator. So we'll just remove that. And to keep that water from flowing back up this channel, I'm going to place a sign here on this block. So that sign will prevent the water from flowing in that direction. So if I replace my water block, now we have water flowing all the way up to the elevator. But now we've introduced this problem where water is flowing backwards down these channels. So a mob that fell off here could get swept all the way to the mob elevator, or they could turn backwards down these channels, really away from our elevator. So how do we prevent that from happening? Well, very similar to what we did here. We'll dig out a couple of blocks and place a sign here. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. So that will control the water flow once I place that or replace that source block. So now a monster that falls in here will be swept down this stream to this water block, and then they will be pushed all the way to the elevator. So let's now take a look at this side. We expect to have a similar problem where if I place a water block here, it runs down to this channel and makes the turn. But we would not want the mob to be able to go that direction. We could have the mob come this direction and travel down this channel into this water block and then flow in. Or we could direct them down that channel and then through the center of this current room towards the mob elevator. So we're going to use a similar method that we used before, where we dig out the center block here, replace that with a half slab, dig back a couple of blocks, And if I replace this water, the water is now flowed to this point. So similar problem, if I place a water block there, it's going to flow backwards. So I'll just place a sign here. And now that's directed the water to this point. Now, we could have a similar situation here where the water may want to flow backwards here. So I would just dig those two blocks out, place a sign, and that will keep that from happening. So if we just step over now to the other side here, to this other platform, and let's see, we'll need more water. So if I place a water block here now, it will flow into this block that we've just created. And so a mob falling off of this ledge would be swept that direction. So really what you're controlling there is the direction that you want the mob to travel and restricting the water flow so that it would not flow in the opposite direction from the destination that you're trying to reach. So for example now, if I fall into this channel, I would come here, and then I'm swept this direction, and then ultimately towards the elevator there. So that's the basic idea behind it, and it can seem a little difficult at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's generally not too difficult. So it may take a couple of times working with it to get it right, but once you understand the way or the direction that water is going to flow, it becomes simpler. So just like anything else, it takes a little practice. So in this section, I do something similar where I would remove those blocks, place my sign to prevent water flow from going back this direction. Do the same thing on this side. Place a sign. Now in this case, if a mob were to come this direction, we would want them to go towards the center there. So I would do the same thing here. Place the sign. I'll just borrow this water block for now. And if I place that here, now that water is flowing towards the center as well. So I'll just go refill my buckets here. And now if I were to place a water bucket or a water block here, a mob that falls off of this ledge will be swept down to this block and then pushed all the way to the elevator. So no matter how large you make the room, and I will expand this one out to be larger than it currently is, more spawn pads, but using the same mechanism, I can move monsters that are really a far distance from the elevator towards the elevator using these same techniques. So with that block replaced now, and this stream flowing this direction, a monster could spawn on this pad, fall off this ledge, and be pushed towards the center, or let's say pushed down this channel, or they may be pushed down this channel, but either direction they take, the next water flow that they get to moves them towards the center of the room. So let's just see what happens if I walk off the ledge here. I hit this water block, and then I'm directed this direction. So if I work on another section here, again using the same techniques, remove the center block or the intersection here, and in this case we do not want this water to flow this direction. Preference would be for this water to flow maybe down here to this intersection. It would actually be okay if the water came this direction, because the mob that fell off of this spawn pad, let's say they fell off this side, we could have them come to this water block, which will drive them down that channel and then into the elevator. So it's okay if water flows this direction, so we don't need to remove any additional material there. But I would not want this water flowing back towards that corner. So I would remove those two blocks, place a sign. Same thing here. I don't want this water flowing back towards that wall. So I will remove those two blocks, place a sign. So again, you're always thinking or working from the standpoint of which direction you do not want the water to flow in. So if I place this water block here now, it will flow this direction. And I'll do the same thing here. I would not want this water block flowing back away from the elevator. So I place a sign there. Don't want the water flowing that direction or that direction. So those two signs will keep that from happening. So I'll go refill my buckets. And I will place a water block here. So now again, that's flowing towards the elevator. And I will just remove and replace that block. So again, a monster could fall off of any of the four sides of this spawn pad. If they fall off this side, they're going straight into the elevator. Same thing on this side. If they fall off here, they'll be directed down to this point and then pushed into the elevator. And on this side, they'll travel this direction and then down that channel to the elevator as well. So I'm going to continue doing that, and I'm going to complete all these water channels. I will also expand the size of this room, and we will take a look at that in the next episode. I look forward to that, and thank you for watching.